Tasha, though. So welcome to Coffee Experts Club. Tasha is always legend. Any of you that have been watching Coffee Experts Club for a while, you're familiar with Tasha. She has been around a bunch, always has great value to bring, is the regional manager for Human Being Reno, and has been doing that for a long time and is such a powerhouse at what she does. But she brought a pal this time. She brought a friend, and we kind of like her. Halo's pretty awesome. I'm going to let you, Tasha, introduce Halo to everybody this afternoon.
Gosh, Aaron, I just need you every morning. Come on.
Right? Just a little affirmation. There's nothing wrong with a little daily affirmation.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Tasha, the Human Being Reno regional manager down here. And I brought along my stand manager of my South Virginia store, Halo. She's great. I'm so happy she's here.
Hello. Thank you. Tasha, you're the biggest hype girl always.
Yeah, right. Biggest hype girl. That's what I'm saying. So it's easy to hype Tasha because she's a big hype girl for all of us. Oh man. So Halo, thanks for hanging out with us a little bit. So you manage South Virginia.
Yes.
And it's been a pretty new thing though, right? Like you stepping into that role has been just this year, or have you been doing it for a while?
I'm coming up on 2 years now in February.
Look at you, 2 years. Time goes by when you really enjoy being around people, I guess.
It does.
That's awesome. So you've been there at South Virginia, and you knew Drew. Like Drew was somebody that you got to hang out with. Drew is from obviously collab team. Just to tell you guys some backstory to Human Being Reno. You know that they went through a pretty heavy-hearted loss of an owner a couple years back now in August, and it was something where Ryan Roden was a personal friend. Jeff Roden, his brother, was the one that had passed. And Ryan said, "Hey, don't you do something like this? Like, isn't this what you do?" And I said, "That's exactly what we do, actually, is come in alongside of existing coffee retailers, coffee businesses, and consult and send team and make sure that there's good support in the lift." And so we got to meet Tasha. I met Tasha with Ryan, and in talking through good solutions and what maybe the collab team could bring to the table, we thought, why don't I just chuck Drew Moody down there, put him in some small little crackerjack box of an apartment, and then just have them hang out in Reno, and typically Coffee Experts Elite is what we call it when we send somebody to a town like that. That's something we do for a month, but the Reno girls had such a big impact on him. It lasted for 4 months, and he ended up could barely shake out of Reno before you guys were trying to make him live there permanently. So I know he may be jumping in a little bit deeper in this call, but I know he really enjoyed his time with you girls down there in Reno, and really enjoyed Human Being Reno, and Halo really enjoyed you specifically and felt like he got to spend some good time with you there. So I hope, did you enjoy Drew? Did you feel like Drew brought some good value when he was there?
Oh yeah, Drew was awesome. We were all begging him to stay. It was just so funny. Anytime he would come into a stand, the whole energy would shift because he brought in such a fun energy. And so we just really didn't want to see him go. He was awesome.
Drew's so funny. There's a great little, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it off while we're live. That's probably not the smartest thing in the world, but Drew put out the best video. Jesh made the best video of a Coffee Experts Elite with Drew that is just so exactly who Drew Moody is. I'm gonna try and find it while we talk. But anyway, so you guys got to know Drew a little bit. We've got to know you guys a little bit. Tasha, maybe you want to talk a little bit about Halo and some of the things that you've liked about Halo and raising her up in the space that she's been in?
Yeah, Halo, I feel like hit the ground running. She works at our Halo, don't take offense to this, I'm going to say our slowest store, but that store has not at all. That is exactly what I was going to say. In the last 2 years, that store has grown exponentially. Like it is, the fact that it even has, green days when we're looking at year over year sales is unheard of. And so the fact that Halo's been able to pull that off in her time there, it just goes to show the amount of work and effort she puts in as a leader and what she pours back into her team on top of the girls that she has there. Our South Virginia used to be a really hard stand. For some reason, the turnover was high. Just the chat in the stand wasn't very good. It was slow. So there was a lot more time to cause drama. And the second that Halo got in there, that completely went out the window. I think she truly leads with her heart, and she would not ask of anybody anything that she wouldn't be willing to do herself.
And talk about that's what we're talking about, right? Like that's the hype girl we're looking for. So
yes.
I found the funny video with Drew. You ready for it?
Lay it on me.
Because all people are gonna love this one. So here we go. You ready?
I know a lot of people wonder, how do baristas stay so full of energy? And while the obvious answer is just way too much coffee, you'll find that the real answer has a lot more to do with friendships, fun, and a whole lot of jokes.
This is how you assault boss!
How's my hair? Thanks. I woke up like this. Made with love. Me looking pretty.
I think it's pretty cool. Is that your phone?
It's his.
Oh.
What is it?
Microphone?
360 no scope. Pomegranate, guava. Rada.
This is all going to TikTok, you know. Wonder.
So anyway, that's my funny Drew video that we put out last week. But I think if anybody can appreciate it, it's the human being Reno girls. I think that's the magic that Drew brings. And so, Halo, I know that he really enjoyed working with you. So talk to us. It's been coming on 2 years.
Yeah.
Like Tasha just said, like this was a troubled store before you got it. Not troubled, but like it's not like a high producer or like a banger. Like you've come in and you've really helped lift. I think I see your report cards every week, every week on the L10 meetings for the leadership team. Like we're going through EOS's model for doing L10 meetings, which shows the scorecard of how you're showing up, and you're obviously showing up so powerful. So talk to us a little bit about managing South Virginia. Talk to us maybe about your tenure at Human Being Reno. Talk to us, like, how did you come in? And did you come in just as a barista and work your way up? Let's hear about your journey, because I think the whole thing about Coffee Experts Club is how can we learn from each other, glean from each other, and grow with each other. So I think tell us a little about your journey.
Absolutely. So I actually started, it's a crazy story. I started just as a regular barista the very first day of the mask mandate due to COVID. I started at the Longley store, and when I came in, they were just reaching like record sale numbers every single day. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is chaos. I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. And I just like loved the fast pace, the energy. I had been a barista before, but nothing like this, slower coffee shops for sure. And so the drive-through energy, being in a small space with other girls was just something that I just really loved. And so then from Longley, I actually moved over to the Moana stand when they first opened. So I was there for close to 10 months. Really just, showing up every day, being a barista, kind of trying to show that I could be a leader and that I wanted to be a leader.
Now, wait a second. Were you there at Moana? So when did Moana start compared to when you got there?
I think I was there we had a soft opening. I was
that's what I'm saying. You say you came in out of the gates. That's awesome. Okay, so you came out of a high volume store, and then it's not like Moana's a slow. I feel like we started Moana and it started out banging, right out of the gates. Like some locations are like that, right? Like it depends on location and ingress and egress. It kind of all depends, but it wasn't like you got thrown into a simpler delivery, right? You're like Longley's chaos, and then you just got thrown into a grand opening and then a brand new store, which can be some chaos. But you enjoyed that transition. You enjoyed coming over that way.
Yeah, absolutely. They hit the ground running too. And what was really awesome and my favorite part about it was I didn't come in and they already had regular customers. We had to create that relationship and create that customer base. And so every single day was seeing those people be like, oh, I really like the human being, and watching them come back and create those customer connections was really, really cool.
I love it. So Tasha, you're watching Halo come through. Like you watched her, you obviously were in the hiring process, right? You brought her in, and then you gave her the opportunity at Longley, saw what she was doing, and then you saw an opportunity at Moana. Like obviously you're in leadership, you're thinking about who would be good for this new stand. It's always the trickiest part, right? Like because as soon as you pull a power player out of one stand, like it creates a vacancy there, and you're like, man, that's a banging stand. But Halo probably was doing a big job filling a spot there and moving her over to Moana. Like you brought over there because you needed strong players, I'm sure. Just knowing Halo's character and thinking the process. But so maybe talk to us a little bit about that journey. You brought her in, she's new, she's a baby barista in our world as far as drive-through coffee, experience in the chaos. Maybe talk about a little bit of growing Halo in the process, because now she's obviously a manager and she's going to get to that part of her story. But how did you identify her as a leader and see her ascend?
Yeah, I think Halo's story and when she started is so special to her journey, just because, like she said, she was thrown to the God dang wolves, this girl. It's like, hey, by the way, we have no idea what to expect. We can't keep up with our volume. Wear this mask and just strap in and be along for the ride. And she did just that. She did so good. So I think anybody that can come in at that time, also having barista experience is great. But like Kayla said, she worked at a lot slower coffee shops, face-to-face coffee shops. So being drive-through was a completely different ball game. You know, you can say you're a barista, but you're not an HB barista until you've been thrown to the wolves.
That's
so,
right.
you know, Halo really took that and just ran with it. Something about Halo was just like her natural confidence and leadership. Like she was just able to get stuff done. Her demeanor was there. It was just somebody that always had my eye the moment I knew it. I was like, yeah, you're going to be a good one. You're going to stick around and I'm going to see this through.
Yeah, I mean, they're not all like that, right? Like that's something really to acknowledge is whether you've, so like obviously Drew's down in Belize right now. We're getting ready to do grand opening for the new location down there. One of our coffee experts leads down there that's kicking off this Friday. And, you know, as you're hiring people, everybody in Belize, like nobody's a barista. Nobody's worked coffee before, you know, so it's like brand new, but sometimes it can be a plus or a minus if you have barista training or not, because then sometimes you have to, you know, like learn, you know, like
Unlearn,
get them
yeah.
out, unlearn things that they knew from their past. And so I think that obviously for Halo coming into the situation, she added some experience, but not everybody, you experience fallout sometimes, you know, where it's like they're not going to be. So Halo coming in, transitioning in. So now you've moved over to Moana and you're in the ranks, like meeting customers, growing in the spot. And then tell me about the transition to South Virginia. How'd that happen?
Yeah, so Tasha actually came forward to me and was like, hey, we're looking for an assistant manager. I wasn't really sure where the placement was going to be at the time. I don't think anyone really knew. We were just kind of playing it. I was just go with the flow. I was excited for a change, excited for the opportunity to grow. And so I just went for it. And then eventually I ended up being assistant manager at Longley under Longley's at South Virginia under Longley's now manager, Lauren. So, you know, it was honestly at first a little bit difficult coming in, you know, new girls who had these friendships and these bonds that I didn't know any of them. And I was like, okay, now I'm supposed to lead you and guide you, and I don't have any relationships with you.
Tough, yeah, especially because it's an older store, right? Like that was one of our originals. Like it's been around for a long time. It's not a brand new store like a Moana. Everybody's new, right? Like, so you're coming in and a lot of old relationships. That's good. Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a little bit hard at first. And then I can't even tell you how long I was assistant manager for, but it was not long. Probably, you know, maybe 2 months.
If that, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just getting used to where everything was in that stand, learning the customers, the regulars, the staff. And then Tasha came to me and was like, do you want to manage this stand? And I was like, you know what? All right. Yeah, I would love to. Let's do it. I even told Tasha, I was like, okay, you got to be ready though. I'm going to have a lot of questions. I don't know what I'm doing and I'm kind of scared. But it honestly like was a pretty smooth transition at first.
I think, I mean, Tasha, kudos to you of recognizing talent. First off, I mean, Halo, I know I've got you a little bit nervous on a Zoom call but I think that you are an amazing personality, especially in person. I think that you do so good. Customers love you. Everybody loves you that works with you. But I mean, Tasha, kudos to you for recognizing talent. Somebody coming in as a baby barista and then bringing her up through the ranks. I mean, so that means that you saw 3 different leaderships, right? 3 different managers, management at Longley, management at Moana, and then management at South Virginia before you took over. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
And probably maybe even 4, like as far, maybe not. So let's say 3, but still, like, I think that gave you some time in the ranks to see how different managers did things, to see maybe what you liked about certain managers, what maybe didn't like about different management styles. I think that's, you know, all when we were sitting down for dinner the other night, you guys were up in town. You visited headquarters up here for Human Being, and it was so cool, Southern Oregon, to have you here and sitting at Bella Union and enjoying dinner together. But even just you girls that are at the table, all of you such different personalities. You know what I mean? Like all of you very different. Your stands are very different. The needs are very different. Even your customer base. It's crazy how even in the same business ecosystem, different locations play differently depending on where they're located in a city and the kind of people that frequent you. And so lot of culturing as you came up. So I know you were probably maybe a little bit nervous about stepping into the role, but I'm sure Tasha, you were like, no, this girl has survived in every atmosphere.
Yeah.
I have no doubt of ascending her up.
Absolutely. Halo wasn't aware of like the power moves that were happening on the back end, but like we knew it. We knew that she was going to thrive there. Moving her to South Virginia as an assistant manager was a huge power move. We needed her confidence in that stand. We needed her, you know, just bravery. She was just, in the sweetest way possible. Halo's bold. Like, she knows what to get done. She knows what needs to happen, and she'll make it happen. And so to lead in that demeanor is what a slower stand needs. If you have somebody who's going to sit on the back burner or pump the brakes, a stand like that'll go under in the matter of a month. I mean, you have to be thriving as an individual to do well at that stand.
Yeah. So I think obviously big praise for you, Halo. Like, that's the big step. But I think too, it's cool. Tasha, I think you do this really well, and just want to give you praise for this as well, that growing managers gracefully, right? Like, South Virginia is a management opportunity, but it's not like you threw Halo out there into a high volume store on her first day of being a manager, right? Like, so it's like, Halo, let us give you this opportunity. It's not super high volume, but it's a great growth opportunity. And as things open up, like, I think that's another great thing about Ryan's vision for continuing Jeff's vision at Human Being Reno is, like, continue to take ground. We're opening up a new location here. Hopefully Q1 is what we're shooting for the grand opening of Plum. And I think with each new location, there becomes a new opportunity, right? And so
absolutely,
Human Being, really, you pretty much grow from within, right? Tasha, you've never hired management from outside. It's always just growing it up from within.
Yeah, that's the way we hope to keep it going. I think it's a really special thing when you can work your way up from the top. All the girls know that I've been down on my knees scrubbing those drains before I got to this role. So it's just, I think it speaks a lot to the team. It speaks a lot to leaders to be able to be like, I've been in your shoes. I've worked hard to get to where I am. So put in the work and you'll get it too.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. So Halo, here's the 2 questions. You ready for them? And internet's a little bit glitchy today. I think mine's a little bit glitchy. I think just a little bit glitchy all the way around. So if we freeze, it's okay. We'll make fun of you making a funny face, but it's not a big deal. So number 1, and you can answer them whichever order you want. And that is like, greatest lesson you've either learned or taught, and then most difficult thing you've had to face or are facing. I think that we all learn by our strengths and our weaknesses. And I think that there's no shame in saying, hey, I really flopped this. If you listen to my story, we did a challenge a couple months back in June about your first coffee drive-through, opening your first coffee drive-through. And I shared about my first business venture failed, and I ended up a couple $100,000 in debt of taking the step of faith, that ended up not working out the way I wanted to. And it was such a heartbreak at the time, but that actually was the fuel for the fire for where I've come to now and what it's grown into. So I think that sometimes it's just the words we call things failing, but sometimes it's just, no, that's just your opportunity for growth. That was for you to learn something you wouldn't have learned if everything was all, butterflies and roses, So tell us about greatest lesson learned or taught, and most difficult thing you faced or are facing.
Absolutely. I'll start with the greatest thing I've learned or taught. I've learned a lot. There's no shortness of things that I've learned, but especially coming in and starting with a new team, when that happens, I think that transition, I was talking about this with Tasha the other day, transition to a new manager, you always I think that you see a little bit of turnover there, which was to be expected, I think. But then that kind of left me in a spot where hiring had become so difficult because of COVID, staffing shortages. So I was kind of left scrambling for employees for a really, really long time, like really that first year to a year and a half.
Oh no, did we lose your sound? Is that only on my end?
No, I can't hear you either. Halo, is your sound still on?
No, it doesn't look like she's muted. I wonder if that's just an internet issue. She was doing so good. Halo, don't stop. Talk to me. Tell me.
Okay, sorry. I was like,
oh, you're there.
Okay. I was just saying, there was like a really long time where I was having a really hard time finding people. And the thing that was happening was that I was just experiencing a lot of turnover, and I was kind of internalizing it, is this something I'm doing? Are these people not happy in these jobs? And I was like looking at where the problem stemmed from. And I started realizing, like, I think I was hiring for quantity over quality. And I needed to do things the other way around. So now I kind of changed my mindset on that. And when I hire, I'm hiring people who, yes, fit into that availability, have the hours I'm looking for, the same things I was doing before. But now when I interview them, I'm really looking like, does their energy and personality fit into the energy and personality of the other girls at my stand? Where are they going to be a year from now? Are they going to be able to stay with the Human Being long term? Do they have good attitude, just more of that personality. And, you know, are they going to be someone who's reliable?
Right.
Adding that question, you know, how many times at your last job did you call out? You would not believe the answers I have heard. And that is so telling of
Right.
whether or not they're going to be reliable and dependable. No, once I started doing that, I have a team, I've built a team who, you know, call outs rarely happen as often anymore. I haven't had people just like quit on a whim like I was having happen way too often. And I feel like my employees, it lightened their workload.
Yeah.
Lightened my workload, it lightened their workload. And just, I mean, the environment and the energy in the stand right now is amazing. Everybody just really respects each other, loves each other, has fun working together. And so I would say the biggest lesson I learned was hiring for quality over quantity.
Yeah, super good. I think it's what you said in there that I thought was super, super smart and wise, was the reality that no matter how good of a manager you are, you're gonna experience fallout, right? Like that's just part of it. You know, when there's a change in leadership, there's going to be some shuffling in there, but sometimes that's the best thing that can happen. You know, all of us, it's so easy to take that personal and feel like, oh man, was that something about me? But a lot of times it's just the catalyst for change. And like, you know, and it's sad to say this, but the truth really is we all do better in change. Like we all love safety, we all love security, we all love comfort, but in comfort we can get lazy, you know. And it's like when we are moved into that place of change and things get changed up, like usually the things that can't survive like fall off, and the things that need to grow up. And I think that South Virginia has come a long way just under your leadership, and just even just watching scorecard, you know, even just from the perspective of how are things turning up and how are things showing up, you know, like I think they've shown really well in your favor. And I know it's scary when you don't have any new data, you know, like when it's all like you're like, oh, I think what I'm doing is right, but everybody's leaving, or like I'm having to do a bunch of new hires. But kudos to you that you built a new culture that's beautiful and that's strong. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And then I'll answer your second question, the biggest hurdle. I would say kind of what I want to say is that this biggest hurdle is ongoing. I don't know if it's something that is ever like one thing that I have to get over, but I think for me, especially in the beginning, and it's gotten better now, but it's always an everyday thing, is setting boundaries as a manager and creating a work-life balance. Especially as you have ever-changing staff, you kind of have to set those boundaries early on from the beginning, which for me was really hard. You know, I wanted to be someone who's like, I got it, I'll do it, I'll do everything, you know? And then I realized like it just wasn't sustainable, and I wasn't giving my staff enough trust. I needed to just let them handle some of those lower level things so that I could be better at my job, and so that I also could just go home and kind of be off work sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it was about balancing. It's about balancing pride in my work, but also not taking things home with me, especially being someone who's in the same age group as my employees. You know, a lot of them are my age or 2 years younger than me max. It can be hard to, you know, balance being a friend and then also being a boss. Sometimes it's challenging to hold people accountable because, you know, I want to be the fun manager, and I want to always, you know, like, I don't want to like crack down hard on them, but I realize that when you create an environment people really enjoy working on, they feel inclined to work harder. And then you build a mutual respect. So when I have to go to them and hold them accountable for something, they know I'm not coming at them, you know, personally or as a personal attack. I'm just doing my job, and we have different roles to play. And that's allowed me to kind of, you know, go home and not have things weigh on me personally, and create that balance and set boundaries.
Good. I felt like I was talking to Tasha right there for a minute. Like I know like that's been something even Tasha in all of her brilliance and everything that she does well. Like I think that part of that has been early on, especially when Drew was there and he's like, hey, so I want to make some suggestions. And some of the suggestions are going to be that you like release some of that stuff to the managers and you don't hold it so tight, you know? And like, that was really tough for Tasha because she wanted to own all of it and she wanted to be so on top of it. It's this intense work ethic of wanting to be the best and wanting to show up strong. But like, I do think it's really hard to juggle personal life when you're owning everything, and so I think that that's a really tough tension of trying to figure out, okay, so what can I release and empower, and what do I need to keep to myself, and how can I help people grow? And also, like you said, leadership's tough, like it's tough when you have to hold the line. But I do think the way that Tasha has set up your scorecards, and the way that she comes in and sets up your rating system, which comes in weekly to see how you guys are performing based on what you guys have determined are important for the stands. I know you shared even at dinner where your people will be like, how'd you do? To like after Tasha's there, and I think that like leaning into your team of no, it's not how I did, it's how we did. This is our stand, and I need you to help me hold the line when I'm not here, because I'm getting graded on not just stuff I'm doing, like it's stuff we're all doing. So, Tasha, I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. I felt like hearing her talk, I'm like, this feels like listening to Tasha 10 months ago talking about her stuff. But
yeah, if I could have been the manager Halo is now, back when I'm managing, my life would have been so much easier. I'm like so proud of her that she's figured out those boundaries and just knows her worth as a leader, and that she's worked hard to get here, and she deserves that personal time and to let things go. I feel like that's something I focused on in this last year, is just teaching them that, like, we have the staffing now, let's make it happen. Everybody deserves that work-life balance, especially as a leadership. The baristas, they come in and they leave it at the door. They don't think about work when they're not here, but we are on all day long on top of our hours of operation. It's not a 9 to 5, it's a 5 to 9, some stands, 7 days a week, so if you don't set those boundaries, you're going to get burnt out. It's just inevitable. Who works that amount of hours? And if your brain's always on, you're always available, it's just a mess. So I'm so thankful. Like Kayla said, it's an everyday challenge. Nobody's perfect at it, but she's really handling it beautifully. And I just love the way she's leading.
Yeah, I love that too. You're doing so good, Halo. So thank you guys both for being on the show today for Coffee Experts Club. And I think, even in your visit up, and we're not going to name any names, and we're not going to drop any hints, but just to say this, like, not all human beings are created equal. And I think that, like, I know that we just all know, even within same chains, like, not every experience is the same. And what you guys produce down in Human Being Reno is such a high standard of excellence. And especially for me, where we don't exclusively work with franchises, we have a lot of independence too. And so I feel like we see a lot of coffee in the underbelly of a lot of coffee, and the scorecards of a lot of coffee shops. We help them create those, then we hold them accountable with those. And I just think the way that you guys show up and perform is so stellar. And I just want to give you kudos, Tasha, to you first, obviously, because you're the one raising up leaders, but also Halo for being one of those awesome leaders. So well done at Human Being Reno, and we're just stoked to be on board. I know Drew texted me a couple minutes ago and he goes, bro, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm so sad. So just so you guys know, Drew wished you could be here, but I felt like with that video, we had him here in spirit. But thank you so much. Thank you for being with us, ladies. I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah.